Hello friends, welcome to Trunkie Academy. Today we will study about the Mendel's experiment. Yesterday we started with the heredity, and in that chapter we started with some important terminologies, okay, some basic concepts, okay, an introductory part, and what is genotype, what is phenotype, okay, what is alleles for the different forms of alleles, what is dominant and recessive forms of alleles, and how are they expressed, okay, and then now today we will study about the Mendel's experiment. Okay, and I yesterday told you that Mendel is a pioneer scientist. He worked on the transmission of characters from parents to offspring. Okay, from one generation to another generation. Okay, so Mendel's experiment, or Mendel's work. Okay. Experiment. So we'll actually he conducted two kind of experiment. One was the monohybrid cross, and one was the dihybrid cross. He crossed between the pea plants, okay, and he got some result. Based on that result, he obtained some formula, some laws, and some conclusion, and some important idea about how the transmission of character takes place from parents to offspring. Okay. So I also told you yesterday that what is haploid, what is true n number of chromosomes, and what is n number of chromosomes. Okay. So now today we will study the about the first I'll give you some idea that what is monohybrid cross and what is dihybrid cross. Okay, so monohybrid cross, before we'll go into detail, okay, of the Mendel's experiment, monohybrid cross. A cross between two parents, cross between two parents taking the alternative trait of one single character. Okay, that means we are considering one particular character and we are taking two alternative the alternative form of that character. So for example, we are taking tall plants and dwarf plant. Okay, so tall, this is pure tall plant, and we are crossing the dwarf plant. Okay, so we are considering the tall and dwarf. So height is the character, okay, and tall, dwarf, that is the trait. Okay, so we are considering the only one character, and we are taking in that particular cross we are concerned with only one character, and for the cross we are taking alternative forms of that character. We are taking two taking alternative trait, the tall and dwarf. So that will be the monohybrid cross. Okay. Similarly, in case of the dihybrid cross, we will take the two character and alternative forms or alternative traits of that character. For example, there will be a green seed coat color. Okay, so this is a character, and this will be the character, and traits we will take that as the then there will be the green or yellow. Okay, here then we will the seed shape. So we take wrinkled or smooth Okay, so these are the when we are considering both in the cross. Okay, where when we are crossing between two plants, okay, two parents, where we are considering two character, okay, with alternative forms or with alternative traits, then it is a dihybrid cross. Okay. Now I told you this in the background, so now we will be going into detail of this cross. Okay. So that means we'll study in detail about the Mendel's and his work and on inheritance. Okay. So the name of the scientist was Gregor Johann Mendel, and from he was uh, the first scientist or first the researcher to work on the mode of transmission of characters from parents to offspring. Okay, so his name was the Gregor Johann Mendel. Okay, and he was 1822 to 1884. Okay. He started the experiment on plant breeding and hybridization. So a lot of experiments he did, and the experiment was on what do you call that? Plant breeding and hybridization. Plant breeding and hybridization. His experiments. Okay, hybridization. So experiments were based on experiments. Okay. So now, okay. He is regarded as the father of genetics. So Gregor Johann Mendel. Why? Because he was the first scientist to study extensively on the mode of transmission of the characters from parents to offspring, or from one generation to another. Okay, so though there are some other scientists who are also contributed a lot in the genetics, okay, in genetic subject, and they were very much scientific and the logical in their experiment and the approach, and there were some other different. They found some disadvantages and the drawbacks of the Mendel's, the laws that he had formulated by obtaining the result from his experiment. But Mendel is regarded as the father of genetics because he was the first to study like this, on large scale. Okay, so he is called the father of genetics. Father of genetics. Okay. Now, Mendel, he actually selected pea plant. Okay, there are so many different types of plants, animals. Okay, but it will be easy for plant breeding or for experimenting on the for heredity. Okay, it will be easy to work with plant. Okay, but he chose the pea plant. Okay, particularly he chose the pea plant. Okay, so he selected pea plant for his experiment. He selected. This is a very important one. Why did he select? Okay, why did he select pea plant? He selected pea plant for experiment or for his experiment. For his experiment. Okay. There are some many reasons, and one of the reasons is that there are 7 pairs of contrasting characters are there in pea plant, and it was easy to study. Okay, so that was the main reason. Other reason was that it is easily cultivable. It can be grown. The life cycle is short. Okay, it can be grown in garden. So that was the main reason. Okay, so that will write. So first we'll see what are the different 7 characters. First he observed that this pea plant is easy to grow, and there are easily observable 7 pairs of contrasting characters are there. Okay, so what he did is 7 pairs, and the characters are there, and 7 pairs. When you say characters, there are alternative forms. Okay, so he 7 characters with 2 alternative forms. So 7 pairs of traits, okay, rather than character. So character trait, we'll write here character trait. Okay. Dominant trait. Dominant trait and the recessive trait. Recessive trait. Okay, so here it will be recessive trait. Now, so first is the flower color. Number one, flower color. So it will be violet, purple or violet, white. Okay, within pea plant. Then another is the flower position. Flower position. Axial or terminal. Axial or terminal. Okay. Then he chose. Then found seed color. Yellow, dominant, and recessive, wrinkled. Okay. So then next is the seed shape, round, then sorry, this will be here it will be wrinkled, not wrinkled, it will be the green. It will be wrinkled here. Okay. The wrinkle is a wrinkle. Okay, it's not smooth. Okay, so round, wrinkled, and yellow green. And green color was the recessive, and yellow is the dominant. Okay, so then pod shape. Okay, inflated or constricted. Okay, inflated, and a flat pod, or it is constricted. Constricted is the recessive. Okay. Then was the pod color, pod of the pea plant. Okay, or the fruit, that is fruit color, that is the green, yellow. Green is the dominant, and yellow color of the pod is the recessive. Then comes the height of the plant. Height of the plant, the tall and dwarf. Okay. So height of plant. So these are the 7 characters. Okay. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and 7. Okay. So easily observable 7 pairs of contrasting traits are there. Okay. So that is what the first reason. Okay, and he chose. And now we will see the other reasons. Okay. Mendel's experiment material. He chose. Why he chose? And because he chose pea plant because, okay, number 1 is the availability and ability of detectable characters. That in the above table we saw there are 7 traits. Okay, availability of detectable or easily of the detectable contrasting traits. Okay. Short lifespan is another important point. Number 2. short lifespan. Because so if some plant, if he has chosen and which has got the life cycle is very long, okay, the lifespan is very long, then he has to wait for a very long period of time, okay. So then coming to the first generation and second generation, it will be very long waiting. So it will that will not be feasible. Okay, so short lifespan is another advantage of this plant. And number 3 is the normally allows self-fertilization. Normally allows self-fertilization. Fertilization. It means that if there is self-fertilization, so it ensures that it has not mixed with the another it has coming the characters are coming from the parents to offspring exactly, okay. So it's not mixing with the another. So allows some, but cross fertilization, but cross can also be carried out. But cross fertilization can also be carried out. Okay, to see the variation, to observe the variation carried out. Okay, so this is another advantage. A large number of seeds produce. Large number of seeds are produced. Okay. So these are the advantages. See, so and that is the reason he selected the pea plant. He knew that okay, it will be easy for his experiment, this plant, because it has got 7 different characters with contrasting traits, okay, and easily detectable and observable. The lifespan is short, so it will be easy for the experiment and there is no long waiting. Normally allows self-fertilization. So we ensure that this is a true tall plant and this is a true dwarf plant. Okay, we can understand. So to get the pure breed line, okay, so that is easy. And also cross fertilization can be done to observe the variations, okay. And large number of seeds are produced, so it will be easy for the growing, okay, for the next experiment or next breeding or next generation, okay. Now we come to the Mendel experiment, and as I told you, monohybrid cross, the cross between the 2 pea plants with 1 pair of contrasting characters is called monohybrid cross. Okay, when we are considering only 1 character with contrasting traits. Okay, for example, the character we are considering the character height, and we are taking the dwarf and tall as a contrasting trait. Then that is the monohybrid cross. Okay, so that is the one of the very common and the best example of monohybrid cross between the tall and dwarf pea plant. Okay, so Mendel carried out this experiment of monohybrid cross and got some result, and based on his result that he obtained after his experiment, he concluded and he formulated one law. Okay, so that is that we see. Now coming to the point. So monohybrid cross. So we write monohybrid cross. Monohybrid cross. Okay. So it's a cross between 2 pea plants. Plants with 1 pair of contrast characters is called monohybrid cross. I already told you, but this is a detailed definition. Monohybrid cross. Okay, so here now the example is the way we have the got the cross between the tall true tall, okay, cross between tall and dwarf, tall and the short, I mean the dwarf. So it will be recessive, in the recessive. So here it will be the tall, yeah, it will be the dwarf. Okay, so this is the okay. So after crossing, what we obtained after the cross, we obtained all tall offspring, all tall offspring. Okay. And the genotype, I have already explained about what is genotype and what is phenotype. Okay. So when he crossed between the tall and the dwarf plant, he found that all the progenies, all the offspring that were obtained were all tall plants. All were tall, not dwarf. Not a single plant was dwarf. So then he was thinking that why I am crossing with the dwarf also. Some should have been dwarf also, but no one is dwarf. Only tall traits were expressed in the progenies. Okay, so tallness were expressed, and the tall plants were found in the first filial generation, the first F1 generation. So what he did, now he again crossed between the F1 generation to F1 generation. Okay, from the plants, they crossed with the plant that were obtained in this generation F1. This is the F1 generation. So he crossed between the plants that were obtained in the first filial generation. So what he did is he took the tall plant from the first filial generation and crossed between the tall and tall, okay, that was obtained in the first filial generation. And in this cross, after crossing, he found that then there were tall plants, okay, then there were tall heterozygous tall, okay, then there were heterozygous tall and short, that is dwarf plant. So there was actually the ratio between the tall and the dwarf, okay, it was equal to 3:1, okay, but genotypically the ratio was 1:2:1, okay, so 1:2:1, okay. So now you understand. Genotypically, there were 75% were the tall plant and the 25% were dwarf. But genotypically, there were about 50% were heterozygous tall. So 25% true tall, or you can say homozygous tall. Homozygous tall, okay, then 50% were heterozygous tall, okay, and then again 25% were that were the homozygous recessive, dwarf, homozygous dwarf or short. Okay. Now with the help of the checkers board or Punnett square, we'll also see. Just try to understand this point. Okay. What happens when the male gametes are produced? Okay. So then there will be the semen. Okay. Similar types of gametes will be produced in case of the both male and female, both, because they both are of the. So here you can see. Okay, now we'll divide this one. So there will be from male side, from the male, okay, and this is for the females, okay. So a small t and then the small t, and here we'll find the capital T and capital T, okay. So when this capital T, okay, then form, it will be capital D and small t. Here it will be capital T and small t, and then here it will be um, capital T, small t, and capital T, small t. So all the plants in the first filial generation. So this is the first filial generation. First generation, we found that all tall, okay, all tall plants. Okay. Now, in case of the second filial generation, when he crossed and what he found like this, in the case of the Punnett square and this checkers board with C, okay, there, he got this kind of gamete will be there, okay. So this will be the homozygous tall, this will be heterozygous tall, this will also be heterozygous tall, and this will be a recessive dwarf. Okay. So here we find it 3:1. Okay. That means tall is to dwarf. Okay. And then again, this is the phenotypic ratio. This is called phenotypic ratio. Phenotypic ratio. Why? Because phenotypically we are observing 75% are tall, but actually if we see only 25% are homozygous tall and 50% out of that 75%, 50% are heterozygous tall. That means out of the 75%, 25% are homozygous tall and 50% are heterozygous tall. It means that the genotypic ratio, then it will be homozygous tall is to, then heterozygous tall is to, then the recessive dwarf, then it will become 1:2:1. Okay, so it becomes 1:2:1. So that is the points he got. Then he came to realize that he understood that in the first generation no plant were dwarf, but in the second generation, in the second filial generation, he found that there is a dwarf. So dwarf is the recessive. Mainly the dominant character is expressed. So dominant, the tallness is the dominant, and the dwarfism, the dwarf shortness of height is the recessive. It is expressed only when both, because in case of the tallness and dwarfness, what happens? If one trait is there, capital T is there, so that tallness will be expressed, not the recessive, that is the dwarfism will not be expressed. So what will happen then? In case of, I explained yesterday also, so now you have to. So first generation there were no medium height or short plant or tall. Second generation progeny were some were tall and 75% were tall and 25% were short. Okay, both tallness and shortness were inherited in the F1 plants, but only tallness trait were expressed. It was inherited but not expressed because tallness is the dominant. Okay, and thus two copies of the trait inherited in each sexually reproducing organism, but the only tallness is expressed. The dominant one is expressed. Okay, so pure or homozygous condition where means we say tallness, capital T, and small t. So 25% is the pure dwarf and 25% pure tall. So that means that is 1:2:1, and 50% that will be the heterozygous tall. Okay, so homozygous hybrid were the 50%. So that will be the genotypic and phenotypic ratio. So this is called the genotypic ratio. Genotypic ratio. And this is called the phenotypic ratio. Okay, genotypic ratio. And this is the phenotypic ratio. Okay. Now, come to the answer. Now, what did he observe? Now, what were his observations from this experiment? Okay, the observations. Okay, observations means all F1 progeny were tall. Progeny progenies were tall. Progenies were tall. Then you have got the F2 progeny. Progeny 1/4 short or dwarf and 3/4 tall. Okay, this was his observation. Then he observed third point is the phenotypic ratio. Phenotypic ratio in F2. It was 3 is to 1, tall is to dwarf. Okay, this was his observation. So now he observed these things that we have already discussed. Okay. Now what conclusion or what interference is getting from the this experiment? Capital T, that means dominant. Okay, and capital T, small t, both tall plants, while small t is a short plant. Okay, this is the conclusion he got, that only the tallness is expressed, dwarfness or shortness is expressed when it is a recessive. Both the alternative forms are recessive, then only it is expressed. Okay. Now another conclusion he got from that is a single copy of capital T is enough to make the plant tall, make the plant tall. Okay, so phonetically, to express the plant tall, only one single copy of capital T, that is sufficient. Okay, while both copies have to be small t for the plant to for the plant to be dwarf. That means when it is tall, that means only it may be homozygous tall or heterozygous tall, but there is no heterozygous dwarf. Whenever there is dwarf, it is homozygous dwarf. That means it will be small t. Okay, so that means a single copy of capital T, the ordinary form, is enough to make the plant tall. While both copies have to be small t. I mean, this is one. Then there will be the dwarf plant. Okay, so this was the history. Now characters like another conclusion. Characters like characters or traits. Traits like capital T are called dominant trait, because this is expressed, is it? Because it expresses itself and dominates other. Expresses itself and will not allow other, the recessive one to be expressed. Okay, and small t are recessive trait, because it remains suppressed. Okay, so this was about his conclusion, his interference. Okay, what interference he got from this experiment. Okay, So he found that there is one is in case of the alternative form, one is dominant and one is recessive. So when the progenies are formed, there may be homozygous stall and or heterozygous stall, but the dwarf or shortness will be always homozygous dwarf only, homozygous dwarf. Okay, so that's how he got the conclusion after his experiment of monohybrid experiment. Okay. Now coming to another experiment he did, that was his dihybrid cross. Okay, so in case of dihybrid cross, he considered two characters. Dihybrid cross. Now try to understand this point. Okay. Now what was his actual intention of conducting this dihybrid cross? Why did he wanted to consider two traits or two characters in the dihybrid cross, and why he conducted this? Actually, he wanted to know that whether the two characters are going together or not. For example, I'm telling you, somebody has got a fair skin and a straight hair, okay, and somebody has got the black skin and the curly hairs, okay. So, is it always going the skin if this fair skin and the curly hairs is going together, passing together in the next generation, or is it possible that the fair skin will have the curly hairs and the black skin will also have the straight hair? So the characters are passing together, or they are joined, or they can must be separated or segregated. He wanted to know this. Okay? That was his intention to know, and that he conducted a dihybrid cross, considering the two characters. Okay, and the cross between the two plants having two pairs of contrasting characters is called dihybrid cross. That I already explained and told you. Now we go to the experiment directly. Okay, so he took the dihybrid cross. He took the green, this wrinkled seed, and smooth yellow. Yes. Smooth yellow, or you can say yellow is smooth. Okay. So this now what happens in case of the parent generation? So I'm writing it again here, so to be understood clearly. Parent generation, P1 generation. So okay. So round, or you can say smooth. Okay. Round yellow into wrinkled yellow. Wrinkled green, sorry. Green is the recessive here. So here it is. Okay, so he took the, like for example, this is the green, round green. Okay, and sorry, round green yellow. So green, round yellow, or you can say round green. Okay, round green and the wrinkled yellow. Wrinkled yellow. Okay, so cross, and for this here it will be R and Y. Well, green is the recessive. Here in case of this wrinkled, it will be wrinkled small r, and in case of yellow it will be capital Y. Okay. So then after crossing this, and what he obtained was that it was R and capital Y small. So all plants were in the first generation. It was the he found that round yellow. Okay, and after this, in the second generation, he found that in the obtained it was the ratio was 9:3:3:1. Okay, I'll show you that also in the next class. Okay? or I can draw the phonetic square or the checkers board now. You can see this one. So what it is the what it is it. Okay, so here what is R, Y, there's a gamut R, Y, then capital R, small y, and small r, capital Y, small r, small y. Okay, again here also. Here it will be capital R, capital Y, here it will be capital R, small y, small r, capital Y, and small r, small y. So if we start okay, the formation of the offspring, then we will find that capital R, capital R, capital Y, capital Y, capital R, capital R, capital Y, small y, and capital R, small r, capital Y, and capital Y. Okay, then capital R, small r, capital Y, and small r. Then capital R, capital R, capital Y, and then small r. Okay, yes, capital R, small y, capital R, small r, capital Y, and then small y, capital R, small y, small y, and again capital R, small r, capital Y, and capital R, small r, capital Y, small y, and capital small r, capital Y, small y, then small r, capital Y, small y, and then again capital R, small r, capital Y, small y, capital R, small r, small y, small r, capital Y, small y, then small r, small y, small y. This will be the only fully recessive. So 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1. Now you can see. Okay. So 1, this is in the we can see as I told you earlier that wrinkled is the wrinkled yellow is the recessive, is it? So green. So we will say the green is forming the we are getting the green, right? So we are getting the green dominant color. You can see here. Where is that? This is the green, round green, green. Then again round green, right? Round green, round yellow. Yeah, sorry, wrinkled round yellow, round yellow, round yellow, round yellow, round yellow, round yellow, then round in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here, and round yellow 7, and round yellow 9. So 9 is 2, and that way we will get the wrinkled. So there will be a wrinkled yellow and round yellow. Okay, 3. Okay, and there will be wrinkled yellow and then wrinkled green. So wrinkled green is the, since that is the recessive character, so we find that it came into the ratio of 9:3:1. So I'll tell you tomorrow again I'll continue with this. A little bit I'll explain in with some other examples and diagram, so that will be clear. and again we'll continue with another topic tomorrow. Start with another topic. Okay. So after this class, I'll send you the DPP daily practice paper, and you download and answer those questions and send back to us for evaluation. Okay. So this much for today. Thank you for joining and listening. Tomorrow again we'll meet at the same time. Till then, goodbye. Okay.